People data is all the data that is currently being created in the universe. Every one of us as individuals have phones and accounts and shopping, credit cards. Every time we use any one of those things, it's creating data about us. And that data is being captured and consolidated by companies all over America and the world. Reach is still the holy grail, but relevance is something that changes the return on investment for marketing, for advertising very specifically. So the more relevant a message is to the person receiving it, the more likely they are to respond to it. And you saw in the conversation that I had an example where if you give it to anybody and everybody, say an advertisement about pet food, you get 1 in 1,000 who might respond because you happen to hit a pet food owner. But if you change that to only pet food or pet owners, it goes up to 4 in 1,000. And then if you can get so specific as dog food to dog owners, cat food to cat owners, second degree of differentiation amongst the information you're sending out, 40 out of 1,000. So the ROIs follow that track as well because you don't waste your media buy on things that, quite honestly, are irrelevant. It's not about how big the pipe is, it's about how you analyze and refine the data that you've got. You want to find the 5 things that are relevant to an individual out of the multitude of things that come through social or credit cards or telephone or banking, etc. And that then defines the analytics that you do, not the fact that you have a lot of data. So I like to start this conversation sometimes with an analogy. Would you ever, in your wildest dreams, allow a company representative to sit right outside the window of your house and watch you and your family live your life? Not in a million years. You would never agree to that. But that's exactly what's going on today. Data collection about you, where you are, when you are, with whom, what music you're listening to, what shows you watch. You might as well have somebody outside the window doing it. In Europe, they take it very, very seriously, and they've formed something called the GDPR, Global Data Protection Resolution, which will actually kick into effect May 2018. It effectively changes, it makes a company is required, if they have data about you, they must be able to erase that data upon request, the right to be forgotten. They must be able to give that data to you if you request it. And if they want to use it for anything other than what they're contracted to do, telecom, telephone, medical for medical purposes, etc., they must get explicit consent from you to do that. It seems pretty natural and normal, but in the US we haven't really caught up to that yet. Today we are in the Wild West, and with data they can do, people are doing, I won't say they can, they are doing whatever they want with your data. We only hear about it when it's stolen from a reputable company, but the reality is it's all over the place in many different fashions, owned by many, many different companies. What we're talking about here is moving to a more structured, organized kind of way of doing things, which companies will go to first. Companies will do this in Europe, they'll do it in America. They can't afford the PR backblow from treating Americans different than, say, German people. So the level of morality and integrity will start with companies, and that should start to pass through the entire system. When governments start to get involved, then you'll start to get a whole nother group of people involved with how much can they really do. One of the things you can do with people data is you can see how different products, how different tastes, how different flavor profiles, foodstuffs, how they travel around the world. And they usually start in one place, like US has a lot of starting with food and food types. For instance, Brussels sprouts. Grilled Brussels sprouts have taken over America. They're in Europe and they're probably going to Asia. And one of the reasons that this kind of thing happens is the cooking shows are syndicated, and they start in America, they go to Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, other English-speaking countries, and then they hit Europe. And that doesn't sound like anything special, but what it means is that something that's big in the US today will be huge in Europe in 18 months, which means that I can start using people data and the trends going on associated with social listening, understanding what's going on in restaurants, to predict something 18 months ahead. For innovation purposes of like a CPG company, That's a massive, massive opportunity. Applying to any other industry, massive, massive opportunity. Most of the capabilities today are actually smaller companies, innovative companies, and there's a whole spectrum of the type of things that can be done. This isn't go out and buy SAP and it solves all your problems. This is very much a network effect of how things get put together. So identify the problems in your company, the things that you want to solve analytically, and then find the right tool to help you do it. And it can be very small. It can be starting out as small, but you put a couple of these things together, you start to get an analytics group. A few more, you get an analytics ecosystem. And it's based upon some internal capability, a lot of external, and it's very flexible, and it's not the kind of thing that you have to commit to tens of millions of dollars to do. It can be hundreds of thousands to millions in the second, third, fourth year. But that's up to you and your pattern for doing what you want to do.